Okay, folks, good morning. Got a couple Panthers sitting here looking at me. And I got the Nuln oil. I think that's where we stopped yesterday, and that's what we're going to start on, is get the Nuln oil portion of putting these Panthers, the finishing touches on them. So I'm going to go ahead and take the turrets off, which actually they were very difficult to turn when I first started this. They've become easier and easier. Sometimes they're very tight to turn to begin with, and you put paint, just a little bit of paint makes it even tighter. Let's get a brush that's pretty fine. Oh, they should be already out here. The hell's stuck on this brush? Let's clean this thing off while I wait for some folks to show up anyways. Now we'll get this Nuln oil out. I have to check and see if I'm sure Army Painter makes this color their equivalent color. I'd much rather. I don't like this container at all, and I'm not going to transfer the container. That's way too much trouble than it's worth. All right, let's start making some things pop out a little bit more. This works pretty well for being an acrylic product. Yeah, just that alone. Hey, Jeffrey. I was going to comment on a comment you made yesterday. It said, or earlier today, depending on what it was, but as after my last painting session, it's like making the hard work look good. You know, this takes a long time, but none of this is hard. Hard is what I do Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday is a fucking nightmare. This is therapy. This is therapeutic. But it does take dedication. It does take some dedication that, I don't know, a lot of people don't do. Many people do better than I do. But this is Just a matter of time. But I actually woke up with my alarm, and that's much better. That's much better. I gotta take a picture of that because it doesn't do it justice. And then I gotta talk about something I saw this morning. Something that looks kind of cool. Something looks kind of cool that. No, I don't need a picture of me. Thank you. All right. Just a little bit of TLC. Make it pop out. I probably don't do enough of that on vehicles, but I'm not done with the brum bar. You know, I did this many at one time because of the airbrushing, not because I like to work on this many vehicles at once. But none of these are sealed, so I may go back and tinker with all these. But so sometimes you get something advertised on your phone. It's not, well, most of the time you're not really interested in. This time I had something that came up on my feed that is something right down my alley, and I'm going to check out at some point. And this is a game from Steam. I don't know if this is any good, but it's apparently just out, and this is my kind of game. And it's called Classified France, and it's a turn-based game where you're playing Le Partisan. And it runs about $40 or whatever. We won't be getting that until my wife is employed again. But I don't know, maybe inspirational for me to do some. Oh, here's a little video of it. They didn't pay for any of this content. I just figured, hey, it looked kind of cool. That's my kind of thing. You move around, some folks around, and somebody says like XCOM. I never played XCOM because it's science fiction. Why would I play science fiction? Oh, hold on. I can't read. I should have done this 10 years ago when I didn't have to use readers. Hey, Tony, thanks for your videos. I got into DBA. Appreciate your content. Excellent. DBA content's always going to be on there, even though I haven't played in a couple of years. I had a good time doing those videos while I was doing that. I don't have any ill feelings or anything. It's just, it's time to move on. So, spent quite a bit of time in last night's painting session talking about why I don't do it anymore. But I don't want to put out a video why I don't do it because it's just gonna, there's enough negative videos out there. But if you want to see Panthers or many other World War II stuff, you wouldn't have seen it if I was still doing DVA. I don't have enough oomph left in me to do both. So. Actually, before I stopped playing DBA, one of the last things I was working on is I was making up my own rules that were going to be free, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work. But and there's a good chance I probably still would have been doing it if certain things hadn't happened the way they had. If work wasn't so exhausting. But I'm still leaving those videos up. We did them to the best of our limited ability. And they were fun to do. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go over all these vehicles with this. And this is something I can go to my old videos like, man, I didn't have enough detail, and come back and do that. It's relatively simple. It's just, it's time consuming. Others appear to have taken up DBA baton. Looks like they have approval from the Barkers too. So if I'd still playing DBA, that's probably something that I would have gotten into, is play testing that stuff too. It's too much for my workload. It's just too much for my workload. I'm exhausted. And it'll all be worth it, but at the same time, as soon as they started announcing that, was kind of when I got out. And had I not gotten out, as soon as they started announcing it, there were already naysayers on places like the Fanaticus that were like arguing with me. And it's like, I'm not interested in fucking arguing with anybody, okay? If you don't like the color blue, and I don't like the color blue. But to get in my face and argue about it, there's just too many people that are like that. Especially the folks that are really argumentative and haven't even played the game. Because not everybody's opinion is the same. Somebody who reads the rules a couple times, maybe put some things down, played it one time's opinion isn't the same as maybe you who've played the game hundreds of times. I don't know how many times you've played the game, Jeffrey, but I'm going to throw out there hundreds of times probably. You've been around for a while. It just isn't the same. And I'm just not interested in that kind of, bringing turmoil to my therapy session. Oh yeah, that looks nice. All right, so let's not get carried away. Let's do one panel at a time. I moved to the front. Let's finish the front. And I hope they make this new rule set for free, because that says a lot where your heart is. When you go and you convert something and then you want to charge for it, that's just like, if I was going to make a set of rules, it was an addendum to DBA, like I did with the Renaissance, which was, I don't think there was reasons it was done the way it was. I would have wanted something a little bit more significant, but we needed to kind of stay within the framework of DBA, of what it was. Is make it free. Because let's say you publish a book, right? Let's say you make a set of rules like Lion Rampant. Let's say I'm like, made a set of rules like Lion Rampant, and it's based on DBA or whatever it is. And you find some kind of correction you need to do. All of a sudden you need to reprint the books. And that's not only that. Now there's a bunch of wrong books out there. People are playing the rules wrong. I'm like, no, it needs to be on some kind of framework where people can download it for free. It's the latest version 1.34 or whatever. And take the other versions down and the latest one's up there. Because there's nothing worse than people saying, oh, your game sucks. Why do you say that? Well, this isn't this. Oh, we already corrected it. Well, what version are you doing? Oh, I'm doing version 1.5. I said, oh, well, we're up to 1.8 now. Oh, well, I don't want to play it anymore. You've got all this, try to collect all the misinformation. So that's one thing that the internet has created, is this plethora of misinformation out there. There's all kinds of information that's out there that's incorrect. So if you want to get things right, you end up having to spend a significant amount of time kind of herding everybody back, and it's just exhausting, I'm not even remotely retired. It's exhausting. And why do I care so much about getting things right? Well, that's just part of my personality. If you're going to do it right, do it or don't do it at all. Living rule works is the way to go. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm going to be able to retire on some game I come up with, right? All right. So then if I'm not going to do that, why am I doing it? Because it's fun and it's therapeutic. All right. If it's creating more work for me than the therapy, you know, I just like working on this stuff. A lot of people are like so fascinated. Well, what rules are you going to use? Well, why does it have to be about the rules? Gaming's not therapeutic. This is. This is your therapy to keep you from turning into an active shooter. Seriously, everything goes well here. Even when I have mistakes, like this controlled wash is basically what this is. But I would have never done a brown wash on these vehicles if I hadn't seen some videos that other people did. It never would have occurred to me to do it. I'm just kind of glad that I didn't do hordes of vehicles in a way that I didn't like how they turned out before I realized to do them this way. And I can do this pretty consistently. In other words, I can make all my vehicles look like they were painted by the same person. Not like some shitty and some that I'm not really happy with. But making your own rule book and publishing it reminds me of like my first year out of college. Actually, I was finishing up high school. I was dual enrolled in college, and you could pick different programs to go into, while you're doing your high school classes, to get a 2-year degree. So that first year I did it, I decided to do graphic design, right? Because I'm an artistic person to a degree. Much less so than a lot of people, but I do different shit than pure artists. But anyways, so I was in this graphic design program, and about half the classes were cool, and half the classes were like editing stuff like in a newspaper, like how to. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm like, I'm not interested in editing papers or do any kind of, that type of thing. So I don't want something that I like to turn into things that you don't like. And that's why I think, and I've talked about it again, I don't think there's a way to do it, but the best way to really figure out what you want to do with your life or as a job is to try different things out. But, there's no way to, before you go to law school, to go and shadow like a lawyer and realize you have this idea of maybe, not that I want to do that, don't get me wrong, I would not be a good lawyer. I'd be like, dude, you're guilty. Fuck you. I'm not. I hope you burn in hell. I'm not representing you. I don't need money that much to compromise my value system. But to shadow somebody so that you go in thinking this profession is going to be A. You're doing A, B, and C, And you get there, and next thing you're doing is X, Y, and Z. And it's like, maybe it's done on purpose because if you realize what jobs really involve, nobody would go to school for them. I think almost every job is turned into a CYA situation. Cover your ass. That's what you do almost everything. And maybe there's people out there that enjoy that type of thing, but I would hazard to guess that nobody does. You end up going into the construction field. You think it's going to be A, B, and C, and you get there and you realize, oh, all it is adult babysitting. Okay, I think we're actually due to a point where I'm actually past this. I need to. I'm going to have to drill out these things for the antennas because I would like the antennas to be in. It gives it another set of three dimensionalness. My daughter's on spring break and she came here for a few days. And she doesn't know exactly what she wants to do, but she wants to do something in the medical field. I could have told you right now that wouldn't be me. But she got a chance to shadow somebody in an operating room just before she went, and she liked it, which I guess good for her. If it was up to people getting operated on, and it relied on me, you guys are gonna die. I don't have the stomach for that. I don't have a problem with blood. I can't handle cutting stuff and seeing all that guts that's inside of me too. That's crazy. But again, she had an opportunity. Somebody invited her to do that. Somebody that she knew. She jumped on it. She's still in her freshman year of college, so good opportunity to see if that's the kind of environment you want to work in. I can tell you right now that would not be the environment I want to work in. I've had the last 2 days this tension on the left of my neck, and I thought it was like stress related, but I guess it isn't because I'm not stressed out now and I feel it. It's mild. It's something I've felt before, but oh well, if I keel over dead here, well, this is this is uber relaxing. Only because I don't have to get these things done by any particular time. You start putting demands and stuff on my hobby, and it starts becoming a chore instead of a hobby. Especially when it's being asked of you, people that don't lift a finger. Oh, You need to promote DBA more. You need to put it in. You need to go and play in local areas. We tried it. Nobody fucking showed up. I'm not gonna beat myself over the head like a. Oh, what's that? We got a buggy. What we got here? Yeah. What are you doing here? What are you? That's what you are. Summer's here. Bugs ahoy. Bobby came in through the garage when it was open. We had one of those big mosquito-looking things that I don't think they're a mosquito. I honestly don't know what they are. Look like a cross between a mosquito and a daddy long legs. They're mosquito-looking. They got a long body. They got long daddy long legs. They're probably maybe that big around. They're not creepy-looking or anything. They just look like a big mosquito. I don't think they bite you. I don't even remember to look that up. What exactly those are. But he was in the garage, so I left him alone. You're in the house. You don't pay rent. Get the hell out of here. Summer's here. Bugs are back. So I spent quite a bit of time this last week looking at model airplane kits. Didn't buy any, just surfing around, you know. I'm not really in the mode to buy any kits, but I still can have fun looking at stuff like, I wonder what kit I would build if I would build now. Okay, well, let me look at and one of you guys turned me on about float planes it might have been you, Jeffrey, I don't know. But I'll say, hey, it'd be cool to kind of do float planes. I've never done it. I like naval stuff, and I used to paint them in 1/2400 scale, and you don't have to worry about whether you're going to do the landing gear up or down. It's always down, always landing on the floats. But anyways, one of you guys was telling me that, oh yeah, that was talking about the float plane, a common float plane being the swordfish. Float plane, and I'd never heard of that. I'd never heard that the swordfish came in float plane form. Excuse me for being ignorant, but that's just my, I don't really read about aircraft, but I just figured working at a hobby store, the only float plane for the British I ever saw was a walrus, and the Fairy Sea Fox that's made by, is it Matchbox that makes a Fairy Sea Fox? I think so. Well, I was watching an unboxing just a couple days ago when the guy was talking about the history of the plane. And which is actually one thing that I really enjoy that I miss about going to the model meeting, which, I hadn't gone in 30 years. And then I went back last month. It's coming up this week again. I went back last month, and what's one of the cool things is that people, they do show and tell and they talk about the history of the planes. It's a very history-based environment, where they're really interested about the history of these things, and like I am. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, might as well paint historical subjects. You might as well learn about it. So, this guy was talking about the history of the Fairy Sea Fox and said that there were less than 100 of them made. I'm like, oh well, I guess it wasn't very successful. I just figured because it made a model of it, there was plenty of them on there. So I was looking for, okay, who makes this, who makes that, who makes the other thing, how much are they? I'm like, holy cow, they're a lot more expensive than I remember being. But, I can have fun putting things in my shopping cart and never buying. I'm like, okay, how much would this cost? About $27 shipping. Okay, cool, that was fun. That was a fun exercise. Let me go back to doing something else. You can do... Oh, here we go. I could do little vignettes and then land it in the sea. Oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to model waves. There's masters out there, dude. That's scary. That's scary. No, put them in the display. I don't know. I enjoy I think the internet for me has made me less trigger happy to buy things. Because I can't tell you how many times in the mid and late 90s, you would go and you would order something just to see what it would look like. 20 millimeter stuff. Like, I don't know who makes these figures. Let's order some figures from this company called FAA. And then you get them and you're like, I hate these guys and their cheekbones. Now you can look at pictures and get the thrill out of that. So, am I the exception? Maybe. Maybe I'm the exception to the rule, but I can tell you that I don't have that thrill of ordering something and see what it looks like because I've already seen what it looks like. And if you don't have pictures of your wares, it becomes really suspect that your stuff may not look that good. You remember trying to build the Airfix Walrus when you were about 6 or 7. Talk about trying to run before you can walk. Well, this thing, okay? This kit, and I'd forgotten about how bad the running gear was to build on it. It was so difficult to do. Even though the track was kind of innovative, it was so difficult to do that I put it on wrong. One of these is correct and one of them's incorrect. Don't think I'm going to change it. This one's correct. Look at the running gear on it. See, I'm not afraid of showing my fucking mistakes. I'm not proud of them. But I learn by mistakes other people have made. I might as well share mine so you guys don't do the same things. But the small wheel, the inner wheel goes first next to the sprocket. It's like this top one, not the bottom one. But the instructions sucked. And man, I was trying to keep all kinds of stuff. Whatever, I'm not going to change it. Fuck it. If I ever sell one, I'll sell this one first. I'm not selling my shit. I need to have it here for my own use. I want to do things right. Sometimes things don't work out. Well, don't let it eat you up inside. I let other things eat me up inside. Not this. It's only mortal. I'm probably not going to do any of this on the wheels. Leave the wheels as is. The wheels have enough different shading on there. And if anywhere is going to be dusty, it's the wheels, which will counteract this. You prefer to do wheels? You prefer to do wheels up on aircraft kits, but over 30 years is the last did wheels down kit. Airfix, Typhoon, and Defiant. Defiant's a cool plane. Was it Paul Bolton Defiant? I think it's a cool plane. What's the other one? I get that one mixed up with. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just that one. It's actually a good looking plane. Kind of impractical, but sometimes something's not impractical until you put it in service and realize, oh, this seemed like a good concept, but not anymore. It had guns in the wings too, right? The Defiant. It had 303s in the wings. I'd imagine I have at least 4. I mean, if a Spitfire and a Hurricane have 8, I'd imagine at least the Defiant would have 4 in the wings, and then the gunner in the rear. Can't imagine a fighter that has no machine guns in the wings, or no machine guns firing forward. Airfix produced a pack of their old stands a few years back, and I have enough to last a lifetime. I have a good few aircraft kits on stands now. I always put the wheels up and hung them from the ceiling, but I'm a bit too old for that. And they'd get dusty up there. The Rock is an ugly plane. God, that Rock is an ugly plane. But the Defiant looks good. I think it's a sleek plane. But I'm interested in building aircraft that aren't necessarily good. I just think they're cool. Like one of my favorite German aircraft. I didn't bring this up. Well, we didn't have a full airplane show. We got our show crashed. Mitch was probably happy. He didn't know anything about an aircraft. Very little. ME-410. Messerschmitt 410. I don't care that it was a piece of crap. It's a cool looking plane. You know? Being a piece of crap is irrelevant when you're building a model. I like the look of it. Messerschmitt 410. One of the best looking aircraft of the Second World War, despite it having a crooked spider on the tail. It's old Nordic, if he was here, he was telling me about the models that. He was talking about Flyhawk, and I saw that Flyhawk makes a Dauntless. And in typical Chinese fashion, they're really inexpensive until you add the shipping. And then the same cost as everything else. But I think that comes like with tons of decal options. Maybe that's a Chinese thing. Because the S models I have, that Panzer II S model comes with like decals for like 7 vehicles. The Defiant had only the turret guns. Well, that is a dumb idea. And they were in that one squadron during Battle of Britain up by Scotland. It was designed as a bomber destroyer, but bombers became faster and it was developed. It was obsolete as a day fighter. Good for night fighting. Still good looking aircraft. Well done, chaps. Yeah, it was not one squadron. It's stationed over like where you live. Jeffrey, you live over there in the... I forget if you live in Scotland or you live in... What's the first province down? Yorkshire? It was up like in Yorkshire or something like that. I want to say like number 10 squadron. Why do I say that? God, if I get that right, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. That is not my area of expertise. NO10 Squadron. RAF. I hope I get it wrong because I really don't want to buy a lottery ticket. I feel dirty. I think I got it wrong. Yeah, there's one squadron in Battle of Britain. Paul Defiant Squadron Battle of Britain. It's a good looking plane. It's a really good looking plane. It's like a pregnant Spitfire. What a good looking plane. Defiance of 264 Squadron in 1940. Well, despite it being in black and white, It's a good looking plane. No guns in the wings. The separation of the tasks of flying the aircraft and firing the guns would allow the pilot to concentrate on putting the fighter into the best position for the gunner to engage the enemy. I can see that. Boy, they got a lot to say about this thing. Anyhow. And the thing I like about British aircraft is the roundel is just a really cool symbol. It looks really good, even when the French use it and turn the colors inside out. They took the turrets from rocks and Defiance and mounted them on trucks as airfield defenses. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I like the British roundel. It's simple. It's simple and looks good. It's simple and looks good. This is probably taking a lot longer than it should, but I don't care. Need to probably lay this on thick like this. Here, this is the area the oily bits go into. Came as a shock to a few German fighters who thought they were chasing Spitfires. Yeah, there you go. How many machine guns did it have? 4? I think it's 4, probably 4 Vickers. The difference between U.S. and British pronunciation. What do you guys call that Czech machine gun you guys took over and was really successful? BESA. I'm not going to tell you how I say it. How do you guys say it? I bet you guys say it Biza. Whereas it wouldn't even occur to me to call it anything other than a Beza. That pronunciation and two countries divided by different pronunciation. Recce. Oh man. I like American pronunciation, but British spelling. I like the U and color and armor, and especially armor and color. It looks. I remember I was in high school or something like that, and I ended up writing a paper, and the color, this color, I picked a little bit too much of a thing to it. This color right here is very strange for me to call it Gray. I always like putting it in E. And I got marked off on it because I misspelled it. Stupid American teacher. Besa. Yeah, I would call it a Besa. Oh well. I could probably get retrained. I could probably call it a Besa from now on. That one's not too bad. There is hope for me yet. I find myself, anytime I use the SCH word, I find myself always pronouncing it in just the British way. Schedule. I just do. And I just kind of do it as a humor thing. And I've said it enough times that it's almost natural. Nearly. Yeah, I gotta do something back here. And then this thing's almost done. At least the body of it's done. And then we can look at it compared to the other one. I'll take a photo and we can see if this time that I did on this was worth a damn. Or I should have just left it alone. Well, the reality is I'm actually enjoying doing this, so does it really matter? Look, people build puzzles and then they put them away. Is that a waste of time? Probably so. But people bake cakes and then they eat them. At least this will never be eaten, unless you're really hungry. You gotta be really hungry. This panther does not taste like chicken. Is that a panel line there? I don't think it is. "141 Squadron operated Defiance. They were the squadron that lost 6 Defiance in one action that saw them withdrawn and later operated out of RAF Dice, Aberdeen Airport, doing night fighting duties." Well, at least they rethunk it. Oh, one thing I was going to say is, so let's say Germany achieves air superiority over Britain in October 1940. You know, what happens next? You think the Germans could? I don't. I don't think the British would have sued for peace. I just don't think they would have. I just don't see it happening. You know, it's kind of like, there's two things you can take. You can You know, those shore bombardments that the I was going to say the Soviets, that the Germans did in the First World War, Hartlepool and all of those. Well, Hartlepool I think wasn't very successful, but anyways, the 3 or the 4 different towns that they destroyed, they were bombing. I was reading about one of them. They didn't bombing, the bombarding. I was reading about one of them. It was really strange to look at, you know, getting a British town shore bombarded. That's just really weird. But I was reading stuff about the bell tower and this, that, and the other. But anyhow, you know, is that going to have a bad morale effect, or be like, you know, we lost some folks. Well, they're not going to die in vain, so fuck you. We're not giving up. You know, that's basically the 2 ways you can go. Like, whoa, we don't want any part of this. We're going to step out. Or they're not going to die in vain. We're going to dial it up to 11. That's basically the 2 ways you can go. And I'm all in favor of dialing up to 11 because, you know, think about 9/11 and stuff like that. You know, Pearl Harbor, like, oh, never mind. We're not going to, you know, never mind. We've had too much. Either that, or, you know, we're not going to lose these guys for nothing. We're going to take it out on the rest of you guys, you know. Mr. Ben, I don't think the British would have given up. Good thing. But if they would have stayed out of the First World War, then there may not have been a Second World War, and then they would have had to win that one and eat beans and toast. Oh, man. I'm just trying to improve you guys' culinary delights, you know? All right, I'm going to take a picture of the 2 hulls side by side and see if this was. Oh yeah, this is huge. It's subtle and also huge. Welcome, Mr. Waddington. You know, when he first started coming on here, Ben, I'm like, who's this Arab dude? Not that there's anything wrong with you being Arab, but, you know, my name is Ben Wadi. Oh, man. Oh, let's not get the shadow in the picture. This new camera is significantly better. All right, let's not get a picture of my feet. You get all excited. Nah, it's only Mitch. You guys get excited about creepy feet. All right, here we go. The one on the left is the one with the Nuln oil applied to it. I hope it doesn't reverse the image. This is the one with the Nuln oil. Nope, does not reverse the image. Those days of the reversed image are done, Ben. I think it looks nice. I think it looks nice. So let's do the same thing. And here's the wacky thing. This blows my mind. So I spray painted, spray painted makes it sound wrong. I airbrushed both of these turrets separate from the hull, and yet the camouflage scheme matches them. Like, it goes in the right place. How the hell does that happen? I don't know. A good coincidence. No, I changed my mind already. Let's finish Panther 445. Actually, this is the wrong turret. 434 is the one that has the weird. Maybe that's just it. I made them similar enough that either one could work. Yeah, that was the one for 434. Ha! Oh yeah, and it'd probably look even better if I used enamels. But I don't want to seal the whole thing in a gloss coat and then come in with enamels, and then enamels stink. You know, they're weird to work with, and I mean I could do it if I had to, but well, you do intend to paint a lot of Arabs. Arabs are fun to paint. I really hope Games Workshop doesn't. Let's change the chat so I can get a bump out of it. Oh, and it should have been on live chat anyways. I really hope Games Workshop doesn't dick with a known recipe like they did with Agrax. So it's not my imagination, right? It got sticky. I'm actually, I don't have a problem with them going up in price. I do have a problem with them making it smaller and it's more expensive and then change the formula where it's shitty. Because nobody wants to pay for something shitty. You know, it's like fast food. Fast food was always bad for you, but it used to be cheap and taste good. Then it ended up not tasting good, and then ended up being not even being cheap. Well, Games Workshop is a company, correct me if I'm wrong, that's made a lot of decisions based on stockholders, right? I mean, once they, they're not mom and pop by any stretch of the imagination. And I really haven't had much of an experience in that with that stockholder kind of stuff until recently. And no, I'm not involved in any of that stuff, but I'm really starting to think that businesses that are run by stockholders can go fly a kite up their ass. They're just in it for the wrong fucking reason. So I'm not an anti-corporation type person, but I'm turning into one. And that does not make me an anarchist. That just means, there's things that are more important than money. Like, doing what's right. Oh, I need to grab another Coke. Let me get my glasses on so I can find my way out of this room. Tony turns red. You know what I'm talking about. Things didn't used to be that way when we were kids. Or maybe we were just ignorant. Or maybe it's always been that way, but it's it's been turned up to 11. I'm blaming it on attorneys. They're suing everything and creating so much trouble that, everybody's trying to squeeze the juice out of everything just to make up for all that stuff. Okay, I will be right back. I'm not even gonna put the phone on mute. Tony turns red. I don't want to categorize myself and put myself in a box, because the problem with putting yourself in a box is that your opinion on things should change not as you get older, but as you become more aware of the inner workings of stuff. Mr. Harvey, welcome. They always say, oh, when kids are young, they're liberal, and they become more conservative as they're older. I think it depends on the person. In my case, it would probably be the opposite. You get older and you realize that everybody, there's so much corruption. And my dad did a really good job of instilling in me the right and wrong thing. There's just some things you just don't fucking do. You know, you just don't do them out of principle. I'm a person of principle. Um, at work, I try to get save the most amount you can on shipping, but not at the expense of screwing the customer. I mean, nobody should have to tell you to do that. You should freaking know. It's much nicer for gamers if the suppliers are run by enthusiasts, not by money men. Yeah, I never had an experience with corporate stuff until relatively recent. And yeah, it didn't happen until like COVID. COVID has been like not COVID itself, but COVID and all the stuff that it's brought upon has been basically like a holocaust of freedom. I know I'm being extreme in that, but it's just like it has just brought upon all these freaking excuses. All these excuses to not have the stores stocked like they used to. I don't want to go to a store and half the stuff's missing. It's depressing. Like, are we in a war and losing? Um, Money men, yeah. Maybe if you're in one of those businesses, if you're a stock trader, or if you're somebody that's always worked for a big corporation, you knew it all along. But those of us that didn't, that worked at a family business for decades, that don't, that can't be bought, so to speak, I mean, I can't be bought. My boss asks me to do something illegal. I'm not going to do it, just on principle. But I'm not an anti-bank, anti this, but things aren't as we things aren't how I thought they were. Let's put it that way. Maybe some of you guys had more clarity. I really don't worry about that kind of stuff. I'm here in my fantasy land. Wait until there's only bread and beans left in stock. I'm stocking up on olive oil, bread and olive oil. You can have all the fucking beans you want. Olive oil, my people, bread and olive oil. We actually had this experience a couple of weeks ago. We got invited to go to this concert, this local band that they've had some national hits, but they're still like a local band, and they do this charity event every year, and we got tickets to go to it, and we needed to kind of go out to eat, and we had like an hour and a half to do it before we missed the opening, and they never brought us our food. We were in an Italian restaurant, and all they brought us was bread and olive oil. I'm like, we're gonna have to cancel our meal. Well, we're still like 5 orders ahead of you. I'm like, we gotta go. So we left the waitress a nice tip because we did get bread and olive oil, and it's the cheapest meal we've had in decades. But bread and olive oil. Stock up on olive oil. My people, you can have all the damn beans. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike beans. It's just them baked beans that no bueno. We're black bean people. So true story. It was Lent yesterday. So I'm kind of observing that thing, whatever. So, what I call it, fish face Friday. You got to eat fish on Friday. Well, I usually don't. So we ended up, there's this thing that's in the store that's, they're black bean burgers and they taste just like freaking meat. They're wonderful. And they're really affordable because you never have more than one. And if you get lunch meat or you get stuff from the deli, you could have more than you're serving you're supposed to on a sandwich. So I like those black bean burgers. I won't be eating bugs. I don't care what Bill Gates wants to do. I'm not going to eat bugs. I'll be eating black bean burgers. I know they're going to make the bugs taste like the beans and whatever. I don't care. That's why we don't give up our guns in America. I'm not eating any bugs. I'm squashing them. Bread and olive oil. Okay, we've got the. Oh, there we go. The weld marks on there. But you say Toby turns red. That's great. That's. I do like playing the Russians. It's fun, especially if you send them off to get killed. No, in all honesty, the people that get caught up in all that stuff, they're just trying to survive on a daily basis. And I don't really fault the Russians for defending their motherland, but that dickhead did make a deal with Hitler, and Hitler got to pay him back before it went the other way soon. So that's a match made in hell for those two guys to be buddies. But they're just two faces of the same coin. But like I said it before, I think the difference between Germany and the Eastern Front is if you had to be a soldier of one of those two nations and you had to be on the Eastern Front, I think you're better off being a German soldier because even though the Germans were brutal, they treated their own soldiers better than the Soviets did. The Soviets literally did not give a flying fuck about anybody. And there was a lot of Nazis that did the same thing too. Don't get me wrong, but I think you were better off being in the German armed forces from the standpoint of how your own people treated you. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as the regime, yeah, they're both horrible, horrendously bad. So there was this game event that this one guy that I know went to another town. They were playing BattleTech or something like that. Flames of War, BattleTech, something, Bolt Action. It was one of those two. I think it was BattleTech, honestly. And there was this one guy, there's one deviant. We'll call him a deviant. Wearing this hammer and sickle shirt. And I'm like, I'm glad I told him, I said, I saw your pictures. Saw that guy with that commie shirt on. Said, I don't think I could let that guy get away with me not saying something to him. I'm just, and obviously if he was wearing a Nazi shirt, same thing. I mean, I don't like wearing that kind of stuff. It sends the wrong message. I don't even care. Oh, it's a Wehrmacht Panzer Division. I don't care. I'll put it on the model. It's cool to learn about them. I don't mind playing them on the tabletop. I'm not wearing, whatever it's called, the Gebenster pants or whatever, the skeleton dude on roller skates. I'm not wearing that shit. It sends the wrong message. And I'm not wearing commie shit. The only way I could justify wearing German shit is if you're in the movie. If you're in a movie and you have to play the role of some German guy, or you got to play some Russian dude in a movie, okay, it's a movie, right? It's a role. You got to dress up as it. Then when the movie's over, you take that shit off. Yeah, I don't think I let somebody get away with something like that and not say something to them. I don't have to be confrontational, but I'm gonna say something to them. Hey, call me twat. There's one guy in one of these Facebook groups made a comment. There's a picture of a Yak 9, beautiful aircraft. And this guy said, thanks to the war in Ukraine, now every time I see the Red Star, I think of them as the bad guys. I'm like, they always were the bad guys. My dad, who was old enough to serve in World War II, of course, he wasn't born in a country that was in the conflict. But he always said he never understood why the Western Allies made a deal with the Soviets. The Soviets had to fight the Germans whether they wanted to or not. I agree. I wouldn't have given the Soviets jack diddly shit. Especially when just a few years before you're trying to depose the Red government. And like I said, that asshole made a deal with Hitler. Maybe they were afraid of them making a re-deal again. I'm sorry, too much bad blood happened in 1941 for that to happen. That just isn't going to happen. Let's see what we have on here. Russia. Where was Joseph Stalin born? Georgia, right? He was born in the Georgia where people have actually less teeth than the state that's due north of us. So yeah, I'm not a proponent of Soviet Lend-Lease. They made their bed. Got to lie in it. And it sucks because people on the ground, they didn't ask for that, The citizens didn't ask for that. They're getting screwed anyways. Let's see how this thing reacts with this decal over it. Maybe it'll be all right. Okay, well, it looks better than I was expecting it to look. I'm still not going to do, when I do Africa Corps vehicles, Africa Corps was huge fans of putting the big freaking numbers over the German vehicles are freaking complicated. Of course, that's what makes them interesting. But the side viewports, they paint them right over those side viewports, and it just looks wrong. It looks wrong on models. It looks wrong on the real vehicle, on the real vehicles. It looks like you made a mistake. It looks like you've made a terrible error of judgment. Red Tony. Sorry, Nipped off to make some coffee. That reminded me, did I get custard cream or bourbon biscuits? That reminded me, did you get custard cream or bourbon biscuits over... Are you talking in code? I don't understand that. Burgerland. McDonald's or Burger King? Regardless, we don't have custard cream or bourbon biscuits. I'm actually not a fan of the word custard. It reminds me of mustard, which is not something you want on something sweet. It's just an unattractive word. Hey, I didn't get to create the name. I don't know what you mean at Burgerland. The Skylab is up. Okay, so I think we have... Oh, here's another little thing here on the back. I think we're good to go on this Panther. Ready to crank the engine and blow up and catch fire and burn some Nazis alive. All my Germans are Nazi bastards and all my Russians are commie. What'd I call them? Commie dogs. And I came up with something else. Dirty commies. Dirty commies. They can't afford. They're not allowed to wash. USA. Burgerland, huh? Custard cream, nope. Bourbon biscuits, nope. The closest thing we get to bourbon biscuits, well, we don't happen to have them here, is when we went to Canada. You know what Oreos are, right? When we went to Canada, they have these maple leaf, apparently there's a big thing there. Well, what's really big in Canada is ketchup. Dumb bastards. Anyhow, that's the only thing I disliked about my trip to Canada. I had freaking ketchup everywhere. Fuckers. Other than that, it's a beautiful place. They have these Oreos type things that are shaped like maple leaves, and the filling in them instead of being a shitty chocolate cookie, I don't know what it is. It's just some kind of shortbread or something like that, and it has like this maple fill. That stuff's amazing. Those things are. We brought back 2 boxes, and we should have bought back 20. But you could get them on Amazon or whatever. But those are really good. And they're bourbon like, not really bourbon biscuits, but it's online slang because the stereotype is Americans always eat burgers. Hence, sometimes Americans are referred to as burgers, how the Germans are Jerry's. The video feed seems jerky and pauses a lot. Well, it wasn't an issue until you showed up. What are you doing over there in Utah? The nasty regime was a Soviet Union run by a Georgian psycho with the support of a multinational bunch of psychos. They called their system Marxist-Leninism. Yeah, you're not selling me on that crap. I do like the red star as a symbol, though. It looks cool. That hammer and sickle, you can shove that up your ass sideways. Not interested. But the red star looks good, especially on Soviet aircraft where there's like a border around it. It's a good-looking symbol. Oh, it does look jerky. What's going on? What's going on here? Let me see if I can figure this out. It just started, didn't it? Let's try this here. We're powered. Maybe it just needs to be burped. Even the mouse is jerky. I wonder what's going on. Damn Chinese computer. It's not supposed to be Chinese computer. I actually like my computer a lot. My first laptop ever. Charger's okay. Oh well, maybe we just the gremlins from the Kremlin. Somebody doesn't like that we weren't promoting Marxist-Leninism. Yeah, I'm not a fan of dictators, anyways. Custard cream biscuits. What's that stuff you guys have that's lemon? Lemon curd. I think I had that one time. Maybe I'm thinking of, I love any kind of lemon cookies. I love that shit. I actually don't know if I've had lemon. We in a grocery store we have an international section, and we have I think they call it British. And you got Cadbury things, and things that you guys supposedly eat over there. No, I'm not eating beans and toast. I don't know if there's beans and toast there. But in the British section, there's a bunch of Indian stuff in there. I'm like, what's that all about? I actually love Indian food. You do sometimes customers filling in donuts called Bismarcks. What? At least you spelled it with a C. I can't stand seeing Bismarck without a C in it. All right, next Panther. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and give all my tanks this treatment. It's not difficult. It just takes some TLC. So the perception is that we all eat burgers, which is funny because I might have a burger once a month. But, perceptions are important. You guys are tea and crumpet folks. That's what we think. And honestly, I really do like English tea. However, I don't like drinking anything that's hot. So, yeah, I'd have to cool it down. I have to have Earl Grey, or you guys are always talking about Yorkshire tea or whatever. I don't know that. I probably would like it. I like tea. I just don't like drinking anything hot because I'm always hot on the inside. Gin, right? Gin's British. I like gin. I like scotch. I like whiskey with or without the E. I have both. That's it. I'm in a mood. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend, isn't it? I'll be right back. it's 5 o'clock somewhere. That somewhere is right fucking here. It's Irish. Does it count? Yes, I've had this stuff. It's pretty good, but to be honest with you, I like just about any whiskey. Somebody brought some of this stuff over. Single pot still, Redbreast. I read this and I first think of some freckled girl with big knockers. Just saying. Which is funny because this is what I should have had every day after work for last month. I didn't do it any single night because it doesn't solve anything. Okay, happy St. Patrick's Day. Yes, we're going to drink tomorrow too, but I'll be wearing green, not orange. Which I should be wearing yellow, right? Yeah, yellow is the traditional Irish color. Yeah, it's not even 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I've had a beer. I'm trashed. Liquor? I'm good with liquor. You notice your local French bakery does not offer Bismarcks. I wonder why. We only have Richelieus. Oh, we also have a smaller donut. There would be a Strasbourg or a Dunkirk. Man, those French battleships were beautiful. I don't know how practical they were, but one of my favorite matchups. I don't know that I ever got a chance to do them. I don't know why I didn't, because I had the navies of both of them. The French campaign didn't last very long, and it certainly didn't last very long from the standpoint of how long Italy and France were at each other's throat. But the French did do a couple of sorties to bombard Genoa. Maybe even Livorno. It's so weird to call Livorno Leghorn. Like, really? Dumbass. And both of those ships, the Italian ships and the French ships, are just absolutely gorgeous looking. Good looking ships. I don't think I ever did that. Yes, March 17th, oh boy. I don't know what that means. And you have a little Irish flag that didn't come up on that. That always makes me happy. You think the Irish are upset that their rainbow got co-opted for other shit? Just saying. Not the fruity ones. In Portugal's, I had them with powdered sugar coating called Bolos de Belém. Bethlehem's, I don't know what bolos is. Bread, maybe? Bethlehem bread? They spell Bethlehem with an M? Yeah, that's why we gave up on those people. Like, you know what? You guys don't want to speak language. You don't want to speak Spanish properly. Just make your own little fucking country. And make Cork and, you know. I can just about read Portuguese, but spoken, it is significantly different than Spanish. It's just I can't make out what the hell they're saying. Bethlehem balls, boros. Okay. Sounds like is it inflection? Is that the right thing? Like, damn it! You know, Bethlehem's balls. You know, I'm not an English writing person, so I don't know what it is. Inflection, anyways, an exclamation. That's what it is. An exclamation. Bethlehem's balls. Should try that. See if I get a rise out of somebody with that. What'd you just say? Bethlehem's balls. I sometimes you'll hear something and it just sticks with you for a long time. And this one guy I used to game with came up with a couple of doozies that I've never forgotten. I haven't seen him in 30 years. 30 years? 25 years. And some of the stuff that he said is just like prophetic. Just like I've never forgotten. You know, these sayings that he had. It's still jerky, isn't it? Oh, I apologize. I'll drink to that. If you drink enough of this stuff, you won't notice that it's jerky. And there's a couple things that he said that have always stuck with me. It means Day of St. Patrick. Well, why didn't they just write that? I can't pronounce Gaelic stuff, sorry. La Fehila. Alright, let me try it because you'll get a kick out of it. I don't even know if I got that right. Could be La. FH. What the hell is FH? What sound does that make? F. Then what the hell do you need the H for? File? File? Or file? File? Padre? No. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I told my wife we're doing something for St. Patrick's Day. We'll go somewhere. We'll go to some seedy bar because it's all the Irish bars here in this town are, well, actually the next town over are seedy. Have a pint or something. Well, one of the sayings is, how many people we got on here? One of the sayings that's always stuck with me is something went, I was with him and something went wrong. And he exclaimed, Christ on a crutch. And I lost it. I lost it laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing. It's still funny as hell. He didn't even have to explain it to me. As if things aren't bad enough. You're going to your own crucifixion and now you're limping too. It's just like, oh my God, that was hilarious. I'd never heard that before. And then he said something to me. I was leaving and he said, all right, have fun, AMF yo-yo. Hey, AMF yo-yo. Yeah, AMF yo-yo. AMF yo-yo. That doesn't make any sense. It's like a call sign or something. Like, no, man. Adios, motherfucker. You're on your own. It's like classic stuff. I've never forgotten it. It's been probably 30 years since I heard that. Those two are classics. I'll have to try and see how the Army Painter replacement for this. Who knows what it's called? Is it Dark Shade? Because eventually I'm going to run out of this stuff. And I have a feeling the new one's going to suck. But there's one British saying I cannot stand. There's probably more than one. And there's a ton of American ones I can't stand. I'm not picking on Britain. I got no problem with you guys on those islands. The cousin folk, I got no problem with you guys. You know that. The land of toys. And the little island is a land of whiskey. But I cannot stand that saying, done and dusted. It's just stupid. You know, like you're some caretaker. Like you're the hired help in a house or something. Is your task done, my dear? Oh, it's done and dusted. My brother cracked me up yelling, got dandruff, and some of it itches. Fast. I gotta bump this. I gotta bump this top chat. Yes, put it on top chat so I can get a bump out of it, and then we'll put it back on live chat so I can bump back. Real fast. Got dandruff, some of it itches. Really fast. Well, you know, with funny things, timing is everything. It's absolutely everything. Comedic timing. I remember we were in high school. Back in the glory days. Not my glory days, but it's like I didn't insert myself enough. And the power went out. We're in a classroom and the power went out. And there's one guy that always used to cut up. I used to cut up too, but he cut up a lot more than I did. There's a couple of things I remember from high school. One guy used to sit in the back of the class. Sit in the back of the class in the middle. You can check out all the girls. Duh. He sat in the back of the class, and the teacher's like, well, when you read this book, and this guy interrupted the teacher, it said something like, I read a book once, and then everybody in class lost it. I remember that. It's probably 1989 when that happened. And this other guy that was always cut up, we're in the class, and the power goes out, and immediately he goes into scared dark. It was just hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. The timing of it is absolutely everything. You say something, but the timing isn't right, or the situation isn't correct, doesn't make any sense. Enjoy your Patrick's Day drinks. Yep. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go to work tomorrow. And hopefully there's no one there. Because I got about 4 hours worth of work to do, I think. I didn't get it done today. I got pulled into like 4 hours worth of meetings. I said today, I meant yesterday. So that really set me back. And I just didn't have it in me to stay late. I didn't want to stay there till 8 o'clock at night or something like that. I'd leave at a reasonable time. As it was, I was already leaving later than I was supposed to. And I don't like going in on Saturdays. You go on Saturdays and there's more people there than there is on a Friday. And I got to do X, Y. I'm in there to do X, Y, and Z, not to do other stuff that. Oh, good thing you're here. let's pull you into this. I'm like, yeah, I still got to get this other stuff done. So Sunday is a really good day because nobody in their right mind would go in on a Sunday. Well, I'm not in my right mind. That explains why I still work there. And we'll go in tomorrow and get it done and knock it out. But we're still doing a morning show. So it can wait. Doesn't have to be some crazy ass hour. I'll still get up, have breakfast, play some World of Warships for a little bit, like I did this morning. Do the World of Warships grind. I swore games way back then didn't have the kind of grinding that they do now. Now everything's a grind. And some of it is just really unpleasant. Really unpleasant grind. The grind on. I'm a big fan of the Borderlands series, but the grind on Tiny Tina's Borderlands, or whatever the hell it's called, is just terrible. I have such a hard time getting into that. Wonderlands, that's what it is. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. The grind sucks because all the enemies look the same. You know, and there's humor, and the funny thing is that the series is all adult humor, and it's pretty over the top. But the fantasy version is dumbed down to PG-13. It's not as funny. It's actually not funny at all. But yes, I still play video games. But I can't do it for more than an hour. You know, I can do this all day. I can't do the video games more than an hour. It just gets tiring. You don't have anything to show for it. St. Patrick's Day's Panthers. This takes time, but it's better than just washing the whole thing in black and hopefully you get it in the right place. Because, yeah, you get it there, but then you get it everywhere else too, and it doesn't make the things stand out as much as they're supposed to. And then when we're done with it, we need to drill out where the two antennas go. Because it kind of comes to like a point. We got to take that point out, drill down, and then install the music wire. The correct terminology for that stuff. And just so you guys know, the size I find that works well is 0.15 music wire. Not the 0.32, but the 0.5. That works really well. Yeah, this stuff right here. I used to make it out of sprue, but man, the sprue doesn't. They must have changed the plastic that the sprue comes in, because the sprue just doesn't behave like it used to. It just doesn't melt like it used to. I used to make lots of it back in the day. I started making it again. I'm like, man, this stuff just doesn't behave like I remember this stuff being. It's funny, I told my wife this week, I said, it's proof that I'll never be an alcoholic. So what do you mean by that? I said, but I haven't had a drink any single day after work the last 2 months. That's proof. Just have it for breakfast. What do I have? 2 shots worth, something like that? No biggie. We need to do this part back here. Used to be a lot of armor kits that would have the interior of the armor. Like, who gives a shit? You know, I was building planes as a kid, and the first thing you put together is a cockpit. Like, you don't give a shit about a cockpit. That's not part of the plane. You know, and then you got to paint it before you put it together. No kid's going to do that. Like, and slap together and close it up. And nothing to see here. Won't do it that way now, but, you know. When you're a snotling, you want to put the friggin' plane together. See what it looks like. Catch a glimpse of what it looks like. I know you don't like Schertzen, but I'm curious. What's my favorite self-propelled anti-tank vehicle? I don't hate Schertzen. I just think the vehicle generally looks better without it. Self-propelled anti-tank vehicle. That's a tough question. Because there's so many that I like. And when I say I don't have a favorite, I'm being honest, because there's so many that I like. And like, what's your favorite tank? I don't know. I mean, I like them all. I mean, I like most of them. Favorite self-propelled anti-tank vehicle. So you got everything from like a Martyr, M10, all the Soviet concoctions. Actually, the concoction should be the Germans. Let's put this hole with this gun. Let's put the same hole with a different gun. Let's put this hole with a different gun. Let's put this hole with a fourth gun. And then like, okay, that was fun. Let's do the same thing with the next hole. You know, we did that with the Panzer I. Let's do the Panzer II now. Like, good Lord. Your favorite is the Panzer. Let's see. Let's go. Let's get a bump. We're going to go to top chat. Yes, that's fine. Yeah. And then we're going to go back to live chat. Now that I figured out how to do that, get a free bump out of it. Panzer IV L70. I prefer it with a shorter gun. Now, the L70 is a better gun. There's no doubt about that. I do like this guy. Which could use some of this shading. L48. As opposed to the L70. I don't know, let's go by nation. Let's do it that way. I'm going to have a hard time with the British, I'm just warning you. I don't like too many of their... I like a lot of British vehicles, but I don't like late war British vehicles. Sorry about that. So American... That little M8 howitzer motor carriage is just such an ugly vehicle. It's cute. Now, I can't do that because Americans have one, the M10. One of the best looking ones is the Jag Panther is really good looking, but it suffers from being in them screwy type battalions. I'm not a fan of vehicles that... Maybe the Jag Panzer IV, that one that I just pulled out, is probably my favorite one. I remember seeing a picture where it was in Normandy and it was attached to the 116th Panzer Division. So it had a little Greyhound symbol on it. It just looked cute. Even though they're Nazi bastards, they still look cute on the outside. It's a cute vehicle with Nazi bastard filling. It's kind of like a donut. An evil donut. A racist donut. It's kind of a hard question. It is... There's so many of them that I like. There's some of them that I don't like. And there's some of them that I don't like that I actually have. I hate this thing. I hate the way this thing looks. This thing's ugly. Probably one of the ugliest German vehicles made. It's definitely top 10. This ugly bastard. This convoluted Panzer IID chassis with the Russian reboard 76.2 millimeter gun into 75, and they created a superstructure. It's just like a freaking box. Just nothing really to like here, but ugly ass vehicle. Most of the Martyrs are pretty decent looking. Elephant, I could take it or leave it. Doesn't do anything for me. Jag Panther's pretty, but I never built one. The Hummel's an attractive vehicle. Nashorn's really attractive. Nashorn's really attractive vehicle. Although it doesn't have a whole machine gun or anything. They probably kept one for AA use and point defense. I don't know it's my favorite vehicle. It's definitely a very attractive vehicle. British, what do the British have? Other than the Achilles, which is just basically like, all right, we'll use your crap, but we'll put our gun in it that's significantly better. Shit, the Achilles, the 17 pounder penetrates more than the Panther's gun. I think by a smidge. I think the Panther's HE is better, but the Achilles penetration is just a little bit better than the Panther. I like that they had to use two sets of solid road wheels at the front of the Panzer IV-L to support the extra weight. I don't know that they did that on all of them. I think they started it pretty quick. Was it because of the weight or because of the wear of the recoil? Might have been both. The Jag Tiger is a good looking vehicle. I have one. We're going to do it in late camo. I mean, the Hetzer's cute. What's not, what's Hetzer's got a Hetz? This thing's going to turn out really cool. Even though the camo on it looks wonky. That's the colors they used, man. It's late war. You can't be a picky eater. I'm gonna go with the Panzer IV L48. I have one, but Nash one's pretty attractive. Soviet stuff, lots of Soviet stuff's attractive. The 85, the 100s, they all look good. They don't have any machine guns either. JSUs, SUs. I don't like the SU-76s. These guys are ugly as shit, and they're a piece of crap. I don't like what a Panzerjäger 1 looks like. The running gear on a Panzer 1 looks shitty. But a Jag Panther, it's a pretty good looking vehicle. Does it have a whole machine gun? I don't know. That's one hell of a weapon. That 88L71. Those are cool looking anti-tank guns. The barn doors, not when they're on the cruciform base. I don't mind the cruciform base like in North Africa or something like that. But I like the 88L71 on the low profile or the lower profile. It's a huge gun. It's a good looking piece. And basically unstoppable on the Western Front. I mean, there's just nothing it can't. Maybe at long range, something like a Sherman Jumbo or a Pershing, if it hits it at the wrong angle, might have trouble penetrating it at really long range. Other than that, it's like auto knockout, auto penetration. It's like a Panzerfaust, almost as much as a Panzerfaust is just brutal. You get hit by the Panzerfaust, it's gonna rape you. If I remember correctly, the Panzerfaust penetrates more than anything else. I mean, even more than the Jag Tiger's gun. You just gotta hit. You just gotta hit with it. That heat round gonna smoke you. But that's a good question, which, everybody's surprised I don't have a favorite tank. I really don't. I like Panthers. What's not to like about Panthers? I like the Hummel. Brumbar is kind of a weird creature, but I still like it. Vespa's cute. I like Panzer IIIs. I like Shermans. Shermans are really underappreciated. Really, really underappreciated. I mean, if you're playing in the desert at Alamein, Sherman's like the best tank. There's no tank better than a Sherman in the desert. The Panzer IV's gun, the long-barreled Panzer IV Special, as you Brits used to call it, that gun is marginally better than a Sherman's gun. But the armor on the Sherman's better than the Panzer IV. marginally so. I read one time that the cast iron hulls were more resilient than the welded ones. And I believe the ones that went to North Africa were almost all, at least for the in British service, were all cast iron hulls. Cast iron? Cast hulls. I guess technically it's cast steel, not cast iron. I'm no metallurgist. Metallurgist. That may be the first time I've used that word. Said it out loud. Self-propelled artillery. Yeah, when people say, what's your favorite? Effectiveness is out the window. It's irrelevant what the effectiveness is. Doesn't mean, what I like, what my favorite thing doesn't necessarily mean that's what the most effective thing is. It'd be more like, if you had to build a model of it, which are you excited to build because it looks weird? I got a Grilla, by the way, also to paint from Cromwell. It's an extremely unattractive vehicle. I think the Grilla does not look good. It's got the gun all the way in the back. Or is that the front? No, that's not. It's the back. Not an attractive vehicle. Of course, it's a Grilla based on the Czech 38M. No, the Martyr M is the one that had that same chassis with the gun at the rear. So, yeah, it's the same. It's a Czech 38 with the crew box in the back. I just don't think it looks attractive. As I said, I like those. When talking about planes, I like those Paul Defiance. Not even close to being the best plane. Doesn't matter. I think they're cool. Stukas. I'm a big fan of Stukas. Stukas look cool. Are they the best plane? Not by a country mile. British Navy aircraft, I have a hard time with. I'm sorry. I'm an American. Drink. U.S. Navy aircraft, I'm not a big fan of. Most of the planes I find really unattractive. Dauntlesses are attractive looking. Devastators don't look bad. All the other planes I don't care for. Wildcats aren't attractive. Hellcats certainly aren't attractive. Not a fan of Corsairs. They're not terrible, but I'm not a fan of radial engines. Radial engines belong on like World War I aircraft and Swordfish. Swordfish look good. Swordfish is a good looking plane. Even the Gladiators don't look bad. But I'm not a fan of Corsairs. Not a fan of Hellcats or Wildcats. Or Avengers or was it Helldiver? Helldiver looks weird. Sometimes the long canopy looks really odd. Like I'm a big fan of P40s, but that whole part where the canopy goes like past where the guy is into like the superstructure and it's still clear back there is just weird. I wish they hadn't designed it that way. What would a P40 look like with a bubble canopy? Interesting. So my favorite or attractiveness has nothing to do with effectiveness. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I actually built a model of the Hurricane. I don't know why. I've got nothing against the plane. It's a fairly attractive plane. No? I look forward to correcting that at some point in the future. Devastator, Dauntless, Pea Shooter, your favorite U.S. Navy aircraft. Really, a pea shooter? I went to the museum. It's got a weird ass name in Washington, D.C. It's named after somebody that had a weird last name with a bunch of Z's and Y's in it. Not a traditional American name. And they have this huge hangar filled with aircraft. And as soon as I walk in, the very first thing, I went with husband of my wife's best friend, and we took the kids there and opened the door. The very first thing hanging in the ceiling is a P-26 pea shooter. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a pea shooter. And the guy's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, how do you fucking not know that? You're the one in the Navy. But I worked at a hobby store where they had models of all these planes, looked at the Hasegawa catalogs, the Fujimi catalogs, of, everything else. So, that info is fed to me. It's just a matter of just recalling it. Yeah, the pea shooter was the one that had an attachment on blimps, right? Some of them the blimp could carry one and be like, oh, there's an enemy plane. Okay, drop the pea shooter. And what was it equipped with? A couple 30 cals or something like that? Seems like that's what it would have. If a pea shooter and a Nate got into a swirling dogfight, who'd come out the victor? Pea shooter doesn't have permanent landing gear stuck down though. Pea shooter, pretty sure it's got retractable landing gear. Here's the bigger question. Do you like planes with tricycle landing gear or ones with just the regular landing gear with a little wheel on the back? Basically, you want them like this or you want them flat? I actually don't have a preference between those two. Yeah, the Dauntless is a really good looking plane. It's balanced well, the way it looks. Very attractive aircraft. And the Devastator doesn't look bad. Big wings. I don't care that they got the crap beat out of themselves at midway. I don't care. You've often been shocked at what military folks don't know about. Well, the thing is those of us not in the military are interested in the military for the hardware. We're not interested for the fucking running, for the digging the fucking holes, for the, the bureaucracy. We're interested in the toys and seeing the weapons of war in action. They're just there for a fucking job. It'd be like, if somebody went to my plant and like, man, concrete, that's exciting. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Just, I'm just here to do a job. It's kind of the same thing, But, all that stuff, movies, building model kits. I wonder what model kit they'll do. Oh, what's this plane? Oh, let me read about it. All that stuff just... Our hobby, wargaming, building models and stuff, like, is about knowledge, like learning about shit, Learning about real stuff that happened. You like to look at the P40. I built several versions back in the day. My first model. Yeah. I remember I built it so early that it comes with the Chinese nationalist markings. And I'm like, what the fuck are these? What country is this? What kind of make-believe horseshit is this? I didn't know. China. Was China even in the war? Brewster Buffalo just looks so good. Does it? Okay, if a Brewster Buffalo and an I-16 got into it, which that could have happened over Finland. An I-16 Battle of the GBs. Remember that GB plane? Or is it a really unbalanced plane? Think of the GB. The very first I think of is the Rocketeer, where he's that hole that gets sealed up with a piece of gum. I haven't seen that movie in ages. A Disney movie, I think, if I remember correctly. Back when they used to make movies with white people in them. Oh man, I just came across something. I don't know if it's fact or fiction, but it said like Disney's movie practices. At least half the actors have to be some underrepresented group. I mean that's cool, but you're still not representing things correctly if you have this quota that's well above the quantities that you see on a daily basis. So you're still not doing it right. And I don't mind underrepresented groups being represented in movies. I have no problem with that, but you know, don't don't skew the meter the other way too. Anyhow, Mr. Buffalo is so good. I was playing the. What game is it playing? Is it Wonderlands? Wonderlands and Diablo 4. I mean Diablo 4. One of the people you could visit in all the different towns, and there's probably 16 towns. I could be wrong. There could be more. There could be less. Something along more than a dozen towns. More. I have to do a count. I should do this, but at least I would say a good half of the blacksmiths you go visit are female. And I just don't think that that's even remotely representative. You know, I don't care. It just find it kind of stupid. Like you're trying to like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it is a fantasy world. Maybe in that fantasy world, the girls like getting dirty. But and then in Tiny Tina of Wonderland, which definitely has woke stuff in it, unlike the other games that had woke stuff in it but picked on everybody, which that's what I'm a fan of. I mean, pick on everybody, But the first blacksmith you encounter is a woman of color with an Irish accent. Now there are women of color that have an Irish accent, but I would suspect, without going to Ireland, I'm just guessing here. I suspect that it is probably a really unlikely event to encounter somebody. It's certainly not. It's certainly the exception, not the rule. So I'm like, well, that's kind of awkward. I think I was playing Assassin's Creed, the one that's in Greece, Odyssey, and I encountered a lot of really dark Greeks on the island. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Were there a few? Absolutely. Brewster Buffalo. You like the Brewster Buffalo, huh? If I build planes, I'm definitely going to build the unusual planes. I'm not going to build planes that you see, on a daily basis. Let's look at the old Brewster. I don't want to make a finish. I wouldn't make a finished version of it. I don't know. That one has a whole lot of swastikas on it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not offended by it, and they didn't hunt my people down, but still, it just doesn't sit well. It's kind of cool. I'll give you, it's kind of cool. It doesn't look like it would fly well. Like, look at that. It just doesn't look balanced well. Brewster Buffalo. It's kind of cute how little tires go in there. Like, it just Okay, we're gonna put our landing gear up. It's just kind of strange. And the U.S. roundel looks so much better with a red circle in the middle. I'm not buying the, they're gonna shoot him down for being Japanese. Like, really? Just a moment. Okay. Brewster Buffalo, huh? I like the look of Faith, Hope, and Charity a little bit more. Of course, the problem with painting those would be like, you say you built Faith, Hope, or Charity. Like, no, that one didn't have the oil stains that way. There's only 3 freaking plates. If you guys don't know who Faith, Hope, and Charity is, go read a book. I don't think the Italians had bad aircraft. They just had, at many times, poor motivation. I'm not going to say at all times, poor motivation. I'm reading this book on armor in the desert, and at the beginning of the stages, it talked about something really interesting that the British like to attack. I don't know if this changed during the war. I'm just at the beginning of the desert, but I'm pleasantly surprised at this book that it has a lot of the details that I'd like to read about. Tactical type details. And one of the things that it mentions is that the British Desert Air Force did not like doing tactical support. At least at the beginning of the desert. This is what it's saying. This is what it's saying. If I'm wrong, well, the book's wrong. Sorry about that. But the Regia Aeronautica, did. So like that's kind of cool. This is taking a bit of time to do, but I think it's worth it. And I think I'm going to have to go back and maybe not go back, but moving forward with all these and do the same kind of treatment to them because it's makes his details pop out, and it's relatively easy to do. Not going to do chipping though. Not going to do fuel stains, that kind of crap. That's just a detail too far. One thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to build a model of say like something like the swordfish, and then buy the photo etch set for all the cross bracing. That's like I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in buying a $15 model and spending $30 on a detail kit or something, and then super gluing all that shit. I'm just not interested in it. Air Cobra is another plane that I like. Regardless of its abilities, the Russians seem to like them. Okay. Take a quick look to make sure I didn't miss something. It's glaringly obvious. Now, this looks like I started doing that one. So let's go ahead and take an X-Acto knife. Probably should have done this before, but I get lazy and sometimes, everybody cuts corners. What corner you decide to cut, that's up to you. But everybody cuts corners. All right, let's put the glasses on. Let's go get the pin vise. See if I can see it. There it is. It's not the one we want to use. Got a little bigger than that. These tweezers really are stellar. This particular one. That's a perfect example of they don't make things like they used to. Without spending, wrong glasses. Without spending a ton of time on it, I'm just going to grab the other paper and make the antenna a similar length. So we have metric now. So just need to find it. Here it is. And see how many mil length it is. About 4. Or 40, really. So let's grab this piece that's just floating out here in the middle of nowhere. Oh, not the Tamiya ones. We don't want to mess those up. These shitty ass things. On the other hand, a little bit of a bend there in it. I don't want a bend in it. I want 2 antennas erect. Put that back. Make sure you file these down so you don't put one of these burrs into your finger. My metal file. This one will work. And I hate using super glue for this, but I will. It's brittle. We'll try it, and if it doesn't work, we'll use something else. Squeeze some out there. A dollop. And that one goes in. And then another dollop. I don't think I drilled this one deep enough. Boy, it's just not going in, is it? There we go. Now, If they break off once, we'll just replace it with epoxy. I just didn't want to mix up a big thing of epoxy just for that. And of course, we'll paint the antennas. Let's take a little shot of it. Let's put one way, one the other way. And they're not sealed. So they look better when they're sealed. And you can see some stuff on there that's not going to show up later. Like this watermarks here for the gloss coat on the decal. That'll all melt on there, but it's pretty good so far. Of course, these two will need, we'll have the paint the antenna black, but these two will need a custom base made for it because it's way over the footprint. The footprint of this is way larger than that material I have. So we'll have to couple of bases to this size. This is the old, who's that one? That's the Airfix one? Okay, folks, I'll be right back. Okay, how long have we been on here? Almost 3 hours. We're going to go ahead and sign off for this morning. So these guys are pretty much done. I'm going to paint the antennas on them at some point and probably seal them and start working on the bases. Yeah. The black numbers, I don't really like the numbers over the detail stuff.